Good morning to you! Welcome back to ANS 325. I'm a little jittery, but that's probably because not too long ago, this was full of coffee. Today is Tuesday, October 14th, 2014. Now let's get on with the show, shall we? Daniela Pagliali, a 42-year-old Italian hospital nurse, has been arrested because she murdered 38 patients whom were under her care. Her reason? Either the patients themselves or their relatives were annoying her. Among the proof, there's a selfie of her in front of a recently deceased patient with her giving the thumbs up. Also, one of her patients, 78-year-old Rosa Calderoni, was found dead during one of her routine checkups, and it was discovered she had been injected with potassium chloride, which can cause heart attacks. Dropbox, a website used and beloved by millions, has been compromised. Currently, 6,937,081 accounts have been compromised via third-party programs. This is not a hack, but a program akin to a keylogger. 400 of these hijackings are directly linked to Pastebin, whom promises more leaks once they obtain more bitcoins. No doubt about it, the world has gone crazy, but this is a perfect setting for another Die Hard movie. In response to the US government wishing to take full control of our internet and pacing the country I live in one step closer to China, ICANN, an organization managing IP addresses, is removing themselves from our corporate overlords. Several months from now, this removal will fully take place via switching to a global group of stakeholders. If you are someone who wishes to perform things like suicide bombings but don't wish to get caught, all you need to do is not personally tell anyone of your intentions. 22-year-old US citizen Moner Mohammed Abu Salah was under suspicion by several counterterrorism agencies of wishing to suicide bomb, but did not pursue due to no official informant confirming or denying the suspicion. So, with nothing stopping him, Moner proceeded to drive 16 tons of explosives into a restaurant used as a checkpoint for Syrian soldiers back on May 25th this year. Just goes to show you our intelligence is just as smart as backwoods Louisiana hillbillies. Speaking of how stupid and or corrupt our law enforcement agencies are in this country, it has been discovered that police agencies have been using millions of dollars that are not theirs. This is a commonly used police tactic. After seizing the assets of arrested persons, they basically steal from the suspects and use the money generated to add funding to their own budget. This does not end there, however. After 43,000 reports obtained from agencies all across the US, a good portion of the stolen property was discovered to have belonged to people not even involved in any crimes. Our own police are stealing from completely innocent people. Disgruntled coal operator 22-year-old Derek Skylar Brooks finally snapped after his boss pushed his buttons one press too far. He then proceeded to take control of two BNSF locomotives, drove them 13 miles, and came to an abrupt stop, colliding with another train. This is not the end, however. Switching to reverse, he rammed the other train a second and even a third time before local crews could cut off the power to the massive vehicle.
I'm going off the rails on a crazy train.
As if fracking isn't under enough fire, in the United Kingdom, an amendment has been proposed to an existing European shale gas regulation which will allow fracking operations to place any substance underneath private properties, including people's homes, and leave it there. Obviously, environmental groups are pissed off, but then again, when aren't they? On top of this proposed amendment will remove the rights of landowners to have any say to what is under their land. This opens up other companies to make deals with the fracking industry, opening up toxic waste dumps and other generally... One second. Phones, telemarketers need to be punched in the face until they shut the fuck up. Now, where was I? This opens up other companies to make deals with the fracking industry, opening up toxic waste dumps and other generally terrible things that dirty industry can bury and forget with absolute zero consequence. As part of the whole movement to remove themselves from relying on the West, Russia has reopened pork trade with China. The trade was cancelled back in 2004 due to tainted product from the country with morals slightly higher than North Korea, with worry of foot and mouth disease back in 2004 when pork was tainted with swine flu. Russia has now reopened the trade, China, being the world's largest pork producers with 50% of the world's stock back in 2013, has already sent an 800-ton delivery to Russia. Knowing China, the red on their bacon is actually lead-based paint. The South, where racism and bigotry not only survive, but thrive! It has been discovered that 40,000 registered voters in Georgia of non-white ethnicity have yet to be processed into the actual system, thus making their voices literally silent. Yes, this does include those questionable squidbillies. Are you ready to chow down on some delicious pink slime and worm goo? Yum yum. McDonald's, in an attempt to dispel rumors that its food is actually food, invited Good Morning America into one of their plants, specifically a California-based one, to tackle rumors that they use pink slime, steroided worm meat, lips, eyeballs, and other questionable things within their product. They obviously deny these accusations, but followed up with some questionable statements. Admitting using azodiocarbonabidibathabada in their bread products, quote, there are varied uses for ADA, including the manufacturing process of non-food products like yoga mats. I leave your diets up to you. Today from the past. In 1982, U.S. President Ronald Reagan proclaimed a war on drugs, and since then, the illegal narcotics industry has never been more prosperous. In 1979, the first Gay Rights March on Washington, D.C. occurred. The National March on Washington for Homosexual Rights demanded an end to all social, economic, judicial, and legal oppression of homosexual people. 200,000 people attended. However, just because something is on paper does not mean bigotry doesn't still lurk and influence decisions. In 1968, during the Apollo program, the first live TV broadcast by United States astronauts in orbit was performed by the Apollo 7 crew. Also in 1968, 27 soldiers were arrested at the Presidio of San Francisco in California due to their peaceful protest of stockade conditions and the Vietnam conflict. In 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. received the Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequality through nonviolence. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis began when a USAF U-2 reconnaissance plane flew over the island country of Cuba and took photographs of Soviet missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads. In 1947, Captain Chuck Yeager of the U.S. Air Force flew a Bell X-1 rocket-powered experimental aircraft. Named the glamorous Glennis, it became the first aircraft to break the sound barrier. In 1944, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel was forced to commit suicide after having been linked to an assassination plot to end Adolf Hitler. In 1933, Nazi Germany withdrew from the League of Nations. In 1926, the children's book Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milne was first published. In 1912, while campaigning in Milwaukee, former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt was shot by John Chirac. Although mildly wounded with a bullet in his chest, the badass continued his speech and did not seek medical attention until he was finished. In 1888, Louis Lee Prince filmed the first motion picture Roundhay Garden Scene. And in 1582, due to the implementation of the Gregorian calendar, today did not exist in Italy, Poland, Portugal, or Spain. Births: Usher, 1978. Dwight D. Eisenhower, 1890. Akbar, 1542. Geek News! Amazon is once again toying with the idea of opening up physical locations via kiosks. This current plan is to test the waters in San Francisco and Sacramento, California. These kiosks will allow people to demo test Amazon's new products like the Fire TV, phone, tablets, Kindles, and much more. On top of this, downtown Manhattan is also under consideration. October 22nd is set to be the first opening taking place in San Fran, followed shortly with Sacramento. However, due to the nature of these storefronts, they are not permanent but will operate around holiday times. As if the overpriced tickets, horrid waiting times, gate rate by the TSA, and numerous other things people have to go through just to board aircraft these days, the air travel industry wishes to remove the only thing we have left to cope with the freedoms we have lost. The Association of Flight Attendants has requested the FAA to completely abolish the allowance of passengers to use electronic devices, including mobile game platforms, during all of the flight. They want you too, after spending a copious amount of money for a seat that a toddler can barely fit into, to sit there, cramped, eat subpar food that makes McDonald's look like fine dining, and have zero entertainment. Save for the in-flight movie that they provide, which you can only enjoy by spending $5 on a cheap pair of headphones from China. If you want to understand why electronic devices are to be banned, please refer to the link in the underbar. And that is it for the show today. Links to everything I've talked about, as well as more information on those stories, as well as more stories I did not cover in today's show, are in the underbar. Don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.
Everybody, no! All electronic devices have to be turned off.
I can't turn off my pacemaker.
Well, your pacemaker is fine.
It just opens up a whole new can of worms.
Airplanes are